Welcome to FYI, the podcast where we have brief career chats with various professionals. My name is Dana Ramirez.
And my name is Sarah Shamasha. We are first-year experienced counselors, aka FYE. Hint, hint to our podcast name. Our vision with this podcast is to share the career journeys of alumni who started the community college.
We're starting in 3,
2,
1.
Ooh.
Yeah, another episode. I think this one feels a little different for various reasons, but mainly because we are live with our other 2 episodes. They're out into the world. Our stories are out there. Also, shout out to the communications instructor story is out there. So it's just so exciting to be already out and live. So if you are tuning in, please continue to share. We appreciate your time and listening to what we bring to you.
So today is a very exciting day. We have a special guest with us who is my friend, who's been my friend for a very long time. So I'm really excited to give you all a kind of a professional introduction, an official one, and I'll tell you a little bit more about her from what I know, from my personal experience of her. So today we have Riyam Arabo, who is originally from Iraq, resettled into the United States as a refugee at 14 and showcased her academic talent by completing high school in 3 years. She initially pursued political science with an aim to enter law, but a significant internship experience during college altered her career trajectory. Instead of continuing towards law, Riyam was drawn to technology sector, where she co-founded a software development company. Her growing interest in technology led her to lead programming and further her education with a master's degree in computational social science from UCSD, specializing in machine learning. Now, Riyam leads her company alongside her husband and a team of developers, blending her passion for travel, history, and languages into her business approach. Her multicultural insights and language skills enhance her company's communication and innovation in the tech industry. So I've known Riyam since she was, I think, 15 or 16, or maybe even when she was, I don't think you were 13 at the time, but I also came to the US as a refugee in about the same year that she came. So I was 13. And I just remember looking up to her because her sister is my best friend. And I remember looking up to her because she was very passionate about learning and she was very passionate about just kind of bettering herself, which is still the case today. So she's kind of grown into this someone I still look up to. So I'm really excited to kind of share more of her experience, especially at the community college, because that's where she started. And kind of when she pivoted careers, she came back to the community college. So that just kind of shows you how community college has been an important aspect of her life, but at the same time, it's something that can be utilized in different ways. So welcome, Riyam. How are you doing? Are you excited?
Yes, thank you very much, ladies. I'm actually excited to come back to Grossmont College yet again, but this time, of course, not as a student, but as somebody who I can talk a little bit about my experience and hopefully the current college students learn from and advance their own careers through some of the tips that I can provide today. So thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think just listening to your bio, I feel like there's going to be so much insight that's going to be shared today. So can't wait to get started. And let's just start with the same question we ask all our guests. And so what is a word that would describe your career journey? And give us some insight as to why.
I'm going to use 2 words because I feel like this is the most relative one, which is identity capital. And this is a term coined by a German-American psychoanalyst, Erik Erikson. And the idea behind identity capital is it is okay to go explore and learn different things as long as you're adding up to your set of tools. And these tools could be tangible or intangible. The tangible part is your degrees and your certificates, and your intangible part is your ability to understand people better, to and know how to navigate the world, its challenges, on the business side, on the personal side. And I feel like with my broad experience into different fields, identity capital has been the most summarizing word that I can describe it with.
How does that play into your college journey, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes, of course. So, I was actually a hardcore, I'm gonna just do 7 years of 4 years of political science, 2 years of law school, and I'm gonna end up being a lawyer, and that's it. This is my trajectory, that's my goal, and I don't want to do anything else. Back then, I didn't know what identity capital was, and I was just focused at mastering just that one thing. And I started at Grossmont College. I actually started in the summer program at EOPS. And as somebody who has been in the country for only 3 years, this transition through the EOPS Summer Institute program was really valuable to understand not just college life, but American life as an adult as well. So that was very important to me. And then I spent the next 2 years taking political science courses and the rest of the general ed. What was actually valuable wasn't just the courses that I took, but the availability of the professors to not just be teachers, but to be mentors, to be guiders, and sometimes they would actually take a leap forward and come to me and tell me you should do this and you shouldn't do that, even though I wouldn't be asking them. And that would come just out of the passion in student advancement. So that was very valuable for me. I've got a few professors that I would love to mention their names. Professor Todd Myers, Professor Micah Gendian, I know Miss Pearl Lopez, she was my counselor. These people were really valuable in terms of their insights into my career and what I was studying. Um, yeah, and then after Grossmont, I transferred to UCSD and I did get my political science degree there. And then when I decided that I do not want to pursue law anymore, and I became really interested in programming, I had the choice between either pursuing a full bachelor's degree or enhancing my skills locally. And Grossmont College just felt like the home to go back to. You know, being an adult with a bachelor's degree and then going to back to school again to take I would say major prep classes, sometimes it's a bit scary or it could be making you feel hesitant because you're older and what are people going to think of me. I didn't think that way because Grossman just felt like home and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go back and take my classes there. So I did take an associate's degree in programming and I took another one in mathematics as well.
So started political science and moved forward and then went and shifted a completely different way. And then you were saying just kind of coming back, you still felt that piece of support. So it felt more welcoming for you to come back, or did it still feel a little scary?
No, no, not at all. I actually made even more friendships with professors that I still talk to until today. So it felt exactly the same.
That's
Yes.
good. I think we get a lot of students that like want to pivot careers and like sometimes they already are in a career or they have a degree. And sometimes they're hesitant because of like that age factor or like kind of redoing things again or just kind of experiencing college when things have changed. So it's
Mhm.
nice kind of having a perspective where it's like it's okay, it's not scary. It's probably going to be even better because now that you're an adult, the connections or the friendships that you can make with your professor might be even more valuable because then you kind of appreciate that now as an adult. So it's kind of nice to hear that.
That's correct, and I'll go back to the focusing on the identity capital. The fact that I took a 4 year degree in political science and did not go into a career in law does not mean I actually wasted my time. So we can think of it as maybe my educational journey was for 6 years that involved some poli-sci and then some programming, instead of looking at it as a time wasted, because I did learn a lot from my political science degree.
Yeah, that's a good way.
Yeah, that's so powerful because I feel working with first time to college students, that is a big piece of I need to make a decision because I don't want to waste my time. I'm fearful if I don't do the right decision, I'm going to regret it like 4 or 5 years later. So to kind of hear you saying like, yeah, that happened to me, but that experience was still valuable and that was still part of my journey. It's not something that I regretted or, like you said, a waste of time.
What matters here, because it's a double-edged sword, is don't go wasting your life or your time in college taking random classes and just working towards getting an A and passing and having some kind of a certificate. Actually work on learning from those courses, even though you might think that they're not relevant. So if you're studying political science and then you have an art or a music course, your brain might want to say, you know what, this is not relevant to me. I'm just gonna try to wing it so I can pass. try to avoid that kind of mentality and think about it of a calculated, I would call it a calculated risk or a calculated exploration, where at the end you know you're going to be learning something. So allow yourself to what's the word in English? I forgot. To divert a little bit from your main path because it could lead you to a better path.
Right, right, right. And we do get students like, what is the easiest GE? Like, what is and that's like a common thing. And I usually tell students, take something you're actually interested in because that will make it easy. And maybe through it, you'll find something else that you're interested in that, you'd want to do, or like it will enhance the way you think about things. So it's definitely a good thing to think about.
And I think it's hard too as a counselor being like, what is an easy class? That's
I'm like,
so
like to me,
subjective.
this is easy,
Yeah.
sometimes, but maybe not to you. So
Yeah, like sometimes I get students that are interested in STEM, right? And the art class or anything in like the humanities is very challenging for them, whereas it's the opposite for someone
Right,
else. So
right.
it really does depend on, your interests, your likes, and your strengths and your skills as well. So
Yeah,
that's a really, really valid point.
yeah.
And they should allow themselves to actually throw themselves into classes that they may not have never been interested in or not familiar with. I threw myself into a classical music course and I become obsessed with classical music right now. I never thought that I would ever be interested because music to me was all lyrical. I couldn't understand instrumental music. So just also throw yourself there for one class, see what comes out of it.
Yeah. I think we're like nearing the end of our podcast time that we have because we're doing those short little chats with people that are doing careers and stuff and whatnot. I'm just very, very curious. What was the internship that you did that made you like not want to do law anymore?
Oh, so when I was at UCSD, they have a program where you spend 3 months in DC, in the UC Institute. And I interned with a nonprofit organization, but the CEO did a lot of work with local politicians and lawyers and nonprofit organizations. And the way they would talk to each other and treat each other and communicate with each other felt not exciting to me, I would say. It felt like you're just filling up paperwork and showing up to court. I'm not minimizing the impact on law on some students, but to me personally, I wanted something more exciting, something that keeps changing continuously. And that's when I came back. And actually, there I met a friend who introduced me to technology, and I'm like, let's take a look. What does that do? And then I'm here today with a technology company.
That's awesome.
And I don't want to
Yes.
derail us, but as you were talking, then one thing stayed in my mind and it stayed there. A lot of times when students are majoring in like STEM field, taking those math classes, science classes, that could be a little bit overwhelming. Would you have any tips or any strategies that you use as a student to get you through those difficult classes?
Yes. Go to class and pay attention to the subject in a way of how it's applicable to the real world. Because if you look at it just from theory, your brain is not going to find the neurons to connect to it. But if you think, oh, okay, this can be applied in the world, or even ask the professor, like, how is this applied in the world? And that way your brain can connect it to something more realistic and you would actually remember it more.
That's what got me through college.
So I wanted us to talk a little bit more about the field that you're actually in. So talking more about technology, like the things that you do, just anything you would feel comfortable sharing about your current work.
Yes. So my company provides software development services to other small companies who um, don't know how to navigate the tech world or don't know how to navigate building software or hiring their own developers. So we would have clients that would come to us and they would request of projects from us. And our projects range from web development, mobile development, systems development. Right now that I've got my master's in machine learning is one of the products that we're also offering. And then once we have an idea of what they exactly want, we either dedicate temporary or permanent developers to them because sometimes the project may take 3 months, other times it may take 4 years. And then my job is to make sure that I'm designing those systems accurately according to customer requirements, and then giving them to the developers because developers speak a different language than what the client speaks. developer speaks code, the client speaks business, and then I see myself as the designer in the between that also provides the translation. And then I keep up with the developers in terms of how did you write your code? Let's test it. Is this the best code that we could write? And then once we have a delivery, I'm presenting it to the client. And sometimes if I'm needed, right now, just because I'm running the company, I'm writing less code. But sometimes if I'm needed, I'm writing the code myself to get things going and not distract a developer from their current task.
Oh, wow, that sounds really amazing. And where do you think the different levels of, so you did community college, then your undergrad, and then your master's? A lot of students are kind of in the piece of like a community college, they do some more of like, their major prep and things like that. What are the different types of classes that you feel like prepared you for the type of job that you do now?
My conversational negotiation speaking skills all came from my political science degree because we had to argue a lot in our papers. So that's where identity capital comes in. My logic skills comes a lot from mathematics. So when we're approaching mathematics, we're not just learning how to solve a formula, we're actually training our brain to look at problems, whether in the world or at work or in math differently. So that's been a really good mental exercise. And then when it comes to programming, I say the community college prepared me more because it gave me the foundational pieces. And then my master's, I would say, pushed me to the limits because the classes that they offered over there were way above my head. And then that's when I had to go and supplement myself with more YouTube and articles. So different levels. Yeah.
So different classes, different educational systems can basically prepare you for different things to kind of get to
Yes.
where you are. I'm curious, you might know this, you might not know this. If someone were to kind of want to get a start in the field, maybe not to where you are, but just to kind of to get started, do you have any tips on that? Like, is community college getting associates or a bachelor's the way to go? Or like, I mean, obviously we're promoting community college, but just kind of what would be your tips there?
Yeah. So the first thing they need to figure out if they love programming or not. And that's really, really important. So that's the first thing. And then you want to decide what kind of career path you want to follow. Do you want to be a full-time programmer, like some of the developers that I work with? Do you want to be a project manager, like technically what I do right now, where you have both programming and interpersonal skills? Or do you want to be, let's say, on the QA side, on the data side? So try to explore the different career paths that use programming as a tool and then talk to people who do them or try to do it yourself. So if you can shadow, that would be excellent. If you can do internships, this would be really, really valuable, especially during your first 2 years of community college, because it's those internships that are going to tell you whether you want to pursue programming or not, just like they told me whether I wanted to pursue law or not.
Awesome. Thank you, Riyam.
Yes, of course.
And the perk of working this job is being able to work virtually because Riyam is in Greece right now. So
Yes, I actually just landed in Greece actually I just arrived at my Airbnb an hour ago. So this has been a really good perk, being able to work remotely. It has been really beautiful. I'm actually staring at the Temple of Zeus right now as I'm talking to you, and
that's awesome.
that's a moment of appreciation for for life itself.
And just to give you a POV, we're staring at a very beautiful computer in front of us now.
And sound system, basically.
Computers are beautiful. You cannot mock them.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We appreciate you taking your time from the beautiful location that you're at to come chat with us. We were really excited to have you because within our podcast, we're trying to really be intentional of getting different stories, and that also means with different career paths. And so we understand that folks in your field are very, very, very busy, and so appreciate Sarah for connecting you to this space, and just wanted to say thank you. I don't know if you want to close it off with anything, Sarah.
No, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful trip. I'll see you when you're back.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, ladies. Best of luck with your podcast.
Thank you.
Alrighty, we're closing off. Bye.
See you later.
been the FYI podcast with the counselors of Grossmont College, brought to you by Liliana Lomelí of Griffin Radio.